Before we dive in, if you could please take a moment to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this show, and leave a comment. It really does help support the channel. Your engagement means a lot. Welcome to the debate. Today we're analyzing the architecture of peak performance, specifically as it's defined by our source material on the non-negotiable morning habits of successful people. What's striking about this material is its emphasis not just on what to do, but on a really strict sequencing of actions. It underlines discipline as the absolute foundation of achievement.
It does. I mean, the material presents a very compelling, almost aspirational blueprint for how high achievers are meant to structure their first few hours.
Right. So the central question for us is this: is sticking to this highly structured, comprehensive, early morning routine, the 5:30 a.m. wake up, the exercise, the deep mental work, is that a necessary precursor for success? Or is the actual key to high output found more in flexibility, in allowing for, individualized adaptation?
And that is exactly where we diverge. I would assert that the material itself, if you analyze it critically, actually provides stronger evidence for the power of adaptability than it does for the kind of rigidity it seems to prescribe on the surface.
Whereas I maintain that this structured, consistent, and disciplined approach is the optimal path. It's derived directly from what successful people actually do. Discipline has to be front-loaded to protect the most valuable hours of the day. The evidence really points to the fact that success is built on a kind of systematic adherence, on maximizing those early hours when the mind is, undeniably fresh and energy is at its peak. The routine they lay out, waking between 5 and 6:30 a.m., then self-care, exercise, meditation, high-level planning, it's all explicitly designed to front-load that discipline and tackle the highest priority task before the chaos of a day begins. It's about tackling the most important task, the MIT, first thing. And what's more, this structure uses some pretty sophisticated behavioral techniques. We see a lot of habit stacking, where completing one task, say 5 minutes of meditation, acts as an immediate trigger for the next habit, like visualization. That, combined with time blocking, creates this seamless, non-negotiable flow. It's a system that ensures daily actions are always aligned with long-term goals. That kind of structured consistency is how you build longevity and success.
Okay, I see why you're emphasizing that structure, and the appeal of that systematic approach is clear. But I would frame the findings quite differently. I think the true key to long-term success lies in adopting the fundamental elements. The focus, the planning, the reflection, not in adhering to the rigid structure or the specific timing that's presented. I mean, look at the sheer volume of habits required: journaling, free writing, visualization, mental exercise, physical exercise, hydration. The list goes on. Trying to implement all of that at once creates a huge risk of overwhelm and burnout. For someone new to this, that cognitive load makes failure almost inevitable. And success requires sustainability above all else. And the source material itself offers a critical counterpoint here. It notes that even the most successful people have to adapt their routines for weekends or travel or emergencies. They simplify them down to a minimal routine. Sometimes it's just 5 push-ups or 5 minutes of meditation. The fact that the entire system can be stripped down to this tiny, portable core, that strongly suggests that sustainable small steps and adaptability are ultimately more critical than the demanding 10-step system they hold up as the ideal.
I understand the skepticism about the complexity, but let's go back to the strategic choice to start early. The source repeatedly emphasizes waking between 5 o'clock and 6:30 a.m. because the brain is, empirically, at its peak state of freshness. This isn't just about discipline, it's about cognitive superiority. That maximized window is essential for complex tasks and high-stakes decision-making before 10 a.m. This is the MIT approach at its most effective, leveraging that pre-distraction, peak cognitive state for the hardest work. If you wait until 10 a.m., you've already spent cognitive energy on minor tasks and notifications.
That's an interesting point about leveraging peak freshness. But I would argue that forcing the timing creates a sustainability debt that completely undermines the goal. While a fresh mind is valuable, sure, human energy peaks are highly individualized, chronotypes. Forcing a natural night owl into a 5:30 a.m. routine is just going to lead to chronic sleep deprivation, which, over time, significantly degrades executive function. If success is measured by the quality and completion of the MIT, then a flexible approach that aligns that task with one's natural peak energy, whether that's at 7 a.m. or 10 a.m., that provides far better long-term reliability. And besides, the material itself includes techniques like the Pomodoro technique, which are specifically designed to regenerate focus later in the morning. This suggests the productivity window isn't just some pre-7 a.m. phenomenon.
You seem to be focusing on the exceptions rather than the rule. The individuals profiled are often leaders and executives. Their global operations start early, making an early rise a strategic necessity, not just a preference. But okay, let's assume flexibility is possible. Doesn't that flexibility undermine the systematic discipline you get from something like complex habit stacking?
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of the structure is to ensure adherence. The routines show people combining multiple mental habits into this precise sequence. Meditation triggers visualization, which then seamlessly triggers journaling. It minimizes the psychological friction of starting the next task. The systematic sequencing is not just a list of habits, it's a system designed to guarantee that daily actions align with long-term goals.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that the complexity ensures success. In fact, I think the complexity introduces a profound fragility. You use the word guarantee, but the source's own coaching dialogue suggests beginners frequently struggle. They forget to journal, and the advice they're given is to start smaller, to only implement 1 or 2 new habits at a time. The complex 10-step sequence is an ideal, not a practical foundation. If we apply some basic behavioral economics here, the true path to longevity is consistency built through small, manageable goals. When you have a complex stack, failing at step 2, say you miss visualization, often results in the entire sequence collapsing. The successful outcome relies on adherence to a simple, sustainable process, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, not on the flawless execution of some high-intensity, complex routine. The debate is really between intensity and sustainable output.
Sustainable output is the goal, yes, and the structured stack guarantees that the foundational mental work, the planning, the goal setting, actually happens. That mental work requires building boundaries. The source gives clear, unequivocal advice. Avoid checking social media or emails in the first hour. It's a defense mechanism. This avoidance of digital distraction is key to ensuring that first hour is dedicated entirely to self-care and proactive planning. The successful morning is meant to be a fortress against the world's demands.
That's a compelling argument for protecting focus, but we have to acknowledge the exceptions noted for successful leaders, which fundamentally challenge this idea of a complete digital blackout. The material explicitly states that some successful people use the morning to connect with people. They send emails or texts early to check key performance indicators, sales, traffic, market movements, or to build critical global relationships. For certain strategic roles, especially leaders and entrepreneurs whose MIT actually involves reviewing those metrics to make immediate adjustments, while for them, strategic digital engagement is a necessary part of a successful morning. That practical requirement overrides the general avoidance rule. If checking a sales dashboard informs the day's most important move, then it's a priority, not a distraction. The routine has to serve the role, not the other way around.
It's a calculated risk, I'll grant you that, but it's still a tactical adjustment built around a core foundation of self-care. The principle of protecting that initial focus remains paramount. Look, the source material is prescriptive for a reason. The highly structured approach provides a powerful blueprint. The consistent application of early waking, MIT prioritization, and stacked mental preparation is all designed to maximize discipline and yield productive results. That structure is what gives high performance its systematic nature.
And while I'll concede that the core habits, hydration, focus, planning are universally beneficial, the overall evidence suggests that the true power of a routine is found in its adaptability. It's in the individual's process of review and adjustment. The rigidity you're championing is the very thing that often leads to burnout and inconsistency for most people. Success comes from aligning fundamental strategies with a flexible, sustainable schedule, not from rigidly adhering to a prescribed 5:30 a.m. start and a demanding 10-step sequence. The most reliable routine is the one that can withstand life's disruptions.
The material really illuminates this crucial tension between the ideal, highly disciplined, systematic approach and the Well, the practical necessity of adaptation that human nature and modern professional roles demand.
Right. It ultimately leaves it up to the listener to decide whether sustained achievement demands rigid conformity to a blueprint or a more personalized optimization of those core principles.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like, and leave a comment to support the channel.